All right, let's run through these designer notes. These are for year 6, season 4.2, so just a mid-season patch. This one's pretty small, and they give a reason for it being really small. And well, designer notes, patch notes, what's the difference if you're not aware? Basically, these are the patch notes, but they go in depth a little bit to explain the rationale for some of the changes and give a little bit of a state of the game update, mostly in terms of operator pick rates and ban rates, things like this. So let's get into it. Right, this came out 2 days ago. Today is, of course, January 14th. This came out on the 12th. I just haven't covered it until now. If it was a more important, big patch, I probably would have already covered it, but it's pretty small, so I put it off a little bit. Okay, so wind delta. This is for attackers. What is wind delta? Over here on the x-axis, we have presence. So this is the percent of the time that an operator is picked and around or banned. I believe that this takes into account bans, I'm pretty sure. And wind delta, just the higher up, they're winning more than they're losing. If it's right here, then if it's at 0%, then they're winning just as much as they're losing. It's the delta, the difference between winning and losing. So, operators that lose a lot down here, operators that win a lot up here. Okay, so I don't think I can actually get them all on the screen at the same time. So Glaz is right down there cut off. Just keep that in mind. Or not, because it probably doesn't matter. Blitz off the charts high. I don't really know why. Maybe it has to do with that flash change that came into play a little while ago. The flashbangs got changed, and so if I remember right, Blitz's flash also got changed. Doesn't seem significant enough to put him up here. I imagine it has something to do with maybe it's a cheater weapon of choice, maybe it's an anti-cheater weapon of choice, or maybe there's just a few death stacks in high ranks that are winning a lot and they take Blitz a lot because they like it or they're trolling or whatever it is. Fuse is also really high. He got buffed not too long ago. He's still very minusculely picked. It looks like he's probably still in like the bottom 5 pick rate. Glaz, Gridlock, Captao, Ying, and him, something like that. But yeah, the buff was significant. He can put his gadget through hard walls now, reinforced walls, which is something. So you can clear off a lot of utility through that. There was a lot of objectives where Fuse just couldn't do anything because all the walls were reinforced, and then there was no good spots in the ceiling, or maybe it was on the top floor of the objective, whatever it was. But some small number of ranked players have picked up on Glaz's potency. I still don't think he's an especially good competitive pick, but yeah, this is ranked, so it is what it is. Otherwise, I wanted to note that there are no hard breachers up here in the top 5, and the highest one is Ace, and then we have Aban and Maverick. They're all pretty tightly clustered, similar presence and win deltas, all around 0 for that win delta. Ace being the highest is a little bit interesting. I think he's probably the worst hard breacher. It is versatile in a sort of way. If you don't have to get hatches, being able to pretty safely get 3 different holes in walls, even if they're not the best holes. Like Thermite makes far bigger holes, but he can only do it twice, and he's far more exposed when he does it. But I guess the biggest thing here is the fact that people like Ace's gun, I guess. And then even the secondary gadgets, definitely Ace has the short end of the stick now. Thermite having... They all have throwables except for Ace no longer has them. He has breach charges, and is it Claymore his other thing? It's got to be right. Okay, and then otherwise Thatcher and Jackal are kind of high up here, but again, this is inflated by their very large ban rate, by far the 2 most banned attackers. And then Yana, just a very good pick. Finka's very similar to Yana, has a very similar kit. They both have a secondary Gon 6, they both have frag grenades, and they both have primary gadgets that don't do a whole lot. Like, they're not deployable or anything. I guess Yana's technically is deployable in a way, but they don't directly influence the map. Yana's thing gets information, and okay, if they have a Rooney gets cleared, then it can influence the map. Otherwise, not really. And then Finka's gadget, it just influences your teammates, not the map at large. And I think the reason for this disparity, why Finka wins so much more and Yana is picked so much more but wins less, is the fact that good and bad, or winning and losing players, teams, whatever, have picked up on Yana. She's been good for a while, and more so only the real ranked killers have picked up on Finka being good. So everyone picks Yana, and only half as many people pick Finka, but they are the people that win more, possibly due to Finka being good, possibly not. I mean, you could say it's maybe a crutch operator, but the whole recoil, anyway, okay, I don't really want to get into it too much. And then other than that, yeah, these are all just the good operators that people pick all the time and and then all these are either the niche or the bad operators. Blackbeard, Montaigne, pretty bad. Glaz, apparently mega bad. Flores is pretty low. I'm surprised that he's this low on the pick rate and this low on the win delta. Maybe it's a little bit of a trap for a lot of ranked players picking Flores and thinking they can clear things, but then spending a lot of the round on the drone only for them to be either jammed by mute jammers or taken by Mozzie Pest or shot or whatever it is. Okay. I don't think there's anything. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say Twitch and Ash. These are just historically just rank like Slayer ops. And Twitch is back in vogue after she got the buff. The unlimited range thing is pretty big. And then she's had her ups and downs. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not, or favored in the meta, I should say. And she's definitely back to being favored. Really good gun, and the gadget is just better than it's ever, maybe not than it's ever been, but yeah, it might actually be. Having 2 of the drones plus the additional 1 drone to get in the prep phase, and then having unlimited charges, although not really in practice because it takes so long for them to recharge, and the unlimited range. And then Ash, I'm a little surprised to see Ash up here higher than, I don't know, especially Sophia. People love that Sophia LMG, but I think some people haven't caught on to it, but a lot of people definitely have caught on to it. That gun's pretty ridiculous. Ash, I saw somebody say, who was it? I don't know, was it Kino or something? Was saying something about that it seemed like the R4C might have got shadow buff, that it's really good, or maybe he just forgot that it was always good. But it's a good gun. It's just a little bit hard to use, especially compared to the G36C, which isn't that good of a gun, but it's pretty easy to use. Okay, probably enough time spent here. Let's move on. Win delta for defenders. Nobody off the charts high here, but we have Cav, Rook, and Ella, the distinguished top of the pack here. Ella gets a little bit of a nerf here, and Rook and Cav, they're not really picked high enough. If somebody's really high or really low, but they're not picked very much, it's not that notable of a statistic, I wouldn't say. It's when operators get to be like up here or down here or something, and this is the whole thing, but maybe not low enough. Jaeger's still by far the most picked. It's just a legacy op, and it's just utility that you need. You need Jaeger or Wamai, but Jaeger is the more intuitive, easy to use, place and forget kind of operator, and a lot of people still like his gun, even though it's been nerfed so many times. Lose the ACOG, lose bullets, recoil reduction, damage reduction. Yeah, you name it, that gun got hit over and over and over, and he still stands up here. He used to be like over here, but still by far the highest. Valkyrie banned a lot, but also picked a lot. Just a very good operator. That nerf to Valkyrie, as far as I understand, still hasn't got into effect. She could still throw her cameras outside with impunity, and at some point it's supposed to be that they can only be outside for 10 seconds before they, I don't know, blow up or are disabled or whatever. Thorn picked a lot. Look at that. Thorn is quite good, I think. 4th most picked defender and 4th most winning defender. Highest win delta? Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Her gadgets are really good, and she has a good gun. She has a shield, which is massive, just one of the best things to have on defense. But the gadget, you can troll around with a little bit, but just putting it on default plant stuff, default plant spots and things like this is just so good, or in certain situations where you can sort of trap players and against bad players, man, it's just free kills, right? Okay, so Mutant Smoke, I think this is kind of cool that they're like right in line here and on presence. Win delta higher for Mute. Smoke always low on the win delta for whatever reason. It just is the case. I don't know why, because I guess the players that win a lot don't feel the need for it. I don't know. Because again, it's a little bit hard to assess this stuff because it's ranked. It's not actual comp play. So it's different than analysis you might do otherwise. And you still have Clash down here. Clash and Glaz match made in heaven, the -6% bros. Okay, so Castle's still really low despite the buff. And okay, yeah, probably enough time spent here. One last, oh no, I'll talk about it when I get down here. Okay, let's look at the actual changes, of which there are only like 3 or something, 3 or 4. Oh yeah, we have this really quickly. Yeah, Thatcher and Jackal just by far the most banned attackers. 138% out of a total 200%, just massive. And then Montaigne, the only other operator that's actually significantly banned, unless you want to count no ban, and then all these other operators down here. Ban rate for defenders, it's a little bit more spread out, but still Valkyrie and Mira get the lion's share, and then Kaid on certain maps. And then Clash banned by, I mean, I don't even want to say bad players per se, because this is platin up, but I mean, there's definitely still bad players in plat, right? But some people that are not that good ban Clash, and then also some people just hate Clash even if they're good and they still ban it. So here it is. And then a little bit more significant even at the bottom here, but Capcan, Malusi, Thorn, just annoying operators to play against, get banned out sometimes. But again, it is these operators getting banned usually. Okay, a note on the 6th Invitational 2022. Basically, this just says that they didn't want to make any really big significant changes just before SI, so that's why this patch is small, or maybe it's an excuse, but you know, realistically, it's a good thing to not make massive changes before an event, which they have done numerous times, and maybe they're finally catching on to the fact that it's pretty questionable to do. Okay, so operator balancing. Aruni added muzzle brake to MK14. I didn't even realize that it didn't have all of the same attachments as Dokubi's MK14, but apparently it didn't. I think it says in here it only had one barrel attachment, which I assume is the suppressor, and then Dokubi's had 3, which I don't even know. Is extended barrel one of them? Suppressor, extended barrel, muzzle brake? Because why would you put a compensator or a flash hider on a DMR when you have a muzzle brake? I don't know. But regardless, and they said they thought it'd be too strong for a defender to have a DMR with recoil mitigation, which is just so strange. I mean, yeah, maybe if you don't think about it too much, and before it was a thing, yeah, like, oh, maybe this might be really strong. DMRs aren't very good in this game. It just is the case. They have to be like ridiculous stat wise, otherwise, you know, full auto is just king. High rate of fire is king in Siege, so that is the case. And now, after having seen how most people just pick the Roni, and then the Roni was just like the best weapon on defense sending on nerf, and it's still quite good, and people still favor it. And it was hard to see that coming. The Roni was in the game before Rooney. Of course, it was on Mozzie, but I don't think people really caught on to the Roni until Aruni was put in the game, and then people started taking Mozzie and Aruni to have double Ronis and all this stuff. So pretty minor change, but yeah, so if you like to run the DMR on Aruni, you get the muzzle brake, which is just, I mean, the best attachment for it, really. Ella, this is a heartbreaker, the foe 12. FO12 reduced damage to 25 from 35. That's a massive reduction. 10 points of damage, a whole, whatever percentage that is, like 28%. Big, massive reduction in damage. It's sad. I when I was on console, I loved playing this thing. I kind of even like pulling it out in ranked a little bit. I do run around with Ella here and there, but I, of course, take the Scorpion. It's a fun gun to use, but the foe was fun to use in certain situations, and now it's just been gutted. Or maybe in practicality, this doesn't matter too much. I don't actually know. Also, reduce extended barrel attachment damage modifier to be consistent with other weapons. I guess extended barrel was doing too much work, and of course, this was the attachment that you would run on the gun if you were running the gun. And okay, yeah, it sort of talks about how this is mostly geared at console because, yeah, it makes sense for console. Like, shotguns are just stronger when it's harder to aim precisely, so that makes non-shotgun weapons a little bit worse in comparison to shotgun on console than they are on PC. It's really hard to use shotguns all the time on PC, especially because people will just kill you so quickly. You use the shotgun when you're using Mutant Smoke, but that's only because you have another solid weapon as your secondary to use when you're in engagements that are at a range too far for the shotgun to be applicable. So, right, I don't know, a little bit of heartbreaker for me because I've had some fun with this gun, but I mean, probably for the best. And I thought, and is there maybe a consideration here to have different stats for things on PC and console? They do that for the recoil, right? Because if console had PC recoil, it'd be too much for the lads. But everyone on console just doesn't zim anymore, right? Just big fat cheating. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Is there any merit in having different stats and whatnot for console and PC other than recoil? And okay, I think this is the last change we actually have. Another Ella change. Ella and Zofia, in fact, removed movement speed reduction when affected by concussion effect of Gersmont Mine and KS79. So that's just Zofia's stun charge from her lifeline and the Gersmont, which is Ella's gadget. So I didn't even know for certain that this was a thing. These aren't, like, Ella doesn't get played that much, and, Zofia is a pretty popular opera, but you don't get hit by her stuns that much, Like, what are the odds that they're playing Zofia and she's, yeah, so just for you to get hit. A lot of times she'll just use those to burn stuff anyways. Of course I've been hit by it, but just not, like, an absurd amount. And it certainly felt like it was a speed reduction, but I thought that was maybe like an artifact of the other changes that were happening, and it just felt like you were slower, but okay, yeah, you were definitely slower, and now it's no longer the case. And it makes sense, yeah, it already impairs your vision to some amount, like it sort of blurs your screen, and then it basically takes away your sound. And one of the biggest functionalities of both of these gadgets, when Zofia is using it as an anti-personnel gadget, it's because it doesn't airburst when it gets near someone, so you can check if somebody's there, and then you get to roll in on, you shoot it, and then you or your teammate gets to roll in on them while you have an advantage of of non-impaired sight and hearing and stuff. And I guess movement speed before, but no longer. And then Ella made a big loud sound and they were messed up. So you knew they were wherever that mine was, and then you got the chance to pounce on them. So, right, it's just a nice quality of life change, slight nerf, and right, that's the end of it. Yeah, it is. So, really small patch. I mean, I still managed to talk for 15 minutes because of the whole thing at the beginning. So, yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't ramble on too much longer. So, right, let me not mix this thing up. How's it go? If you have any comments, leave them below. If you have any questions, let me know. And with all of that being said, I will catch you in the next video.